So today's video, we're going to be talking about martial arts and strength training or bodybuilding training. Why it's important, we need to include it in our program, how it can improve your performance, how we can improve our mobility, and how we can periodize maybe leading up to a competition with our strength training. So first of all, why do we need to add strength training anyway? Why is it so important? Is karate or is our martial art not enough on its own? This video is ready for those that want to take their martial arts up a level and improve their performance, increase their resistance to injury so they can stay training for longer, improve their mobility, and generally become better at their art. Now, unfortunately, when you look on the internet and you see a lot of these sort of McDojo type videos where they're maybe criticizing the instructors or senseis, it's often talking about karate instructors being out of shape, or martial arts instructors kind of being out of shape, maybe overweight and this kind of thing, which of course everyone is different, have got their own journeys and stuff, but we want to hopefully try to promote a positive image for our dojo, right? So we want to be leading by example, and we want to be portraying karate and the martial arts as a whole as a positive, healthy activity to be involved in. And if we're talking about effectiveness, you know, like a lot of sort of internet criticism is that the karate is ineffective or martial arts, that they don't work in this situation or that situation. Being fitter and being stronger is always going to make you more effective in a maybe a self-defense or a competitive situation. You know, if you take two people of equal level, technically, and increase the strength of one by 20%, they're going to have a massive advantage over the other one. It's there's no question about it. You know, when all things are equal, the stronger, fitter athlete is going to be the winner. Now, if you're looking for some gear to train in or some casual wear, martial arts inspired casual wear, check out Art Martial Clothing. They've got a wide range of martial arts inspired training clothes and casual wear. I'll put a discount code in the description of this video alongside a link. If you go through there, you get yourself a discount, get yourself some training gear, and take a look at what they've got there. Some really nice stuff. I wear it when I train. I wear some stuff casually as well because they've got some designs that are a little bit more suited to just casual wear. Check it out anyway, have a look. You've probably all heard the kind of myths and stuff that weight training makes you slow and that we don't need that for karate or for other martial arts. I've had many of those comments in my video comment sections in the past, you know, saying that you don't need to do that. You should be only training karate to get good at karate. It's just a very outdated way of thinking, and I think these people are lacking the understanding of what strength training actually is and what the benefits are of doing so. Even if we look at the older traditional karate styles, you know, from Okinawa, they're doing a lot of physical training, you know, holding jars, weighted jars, and various different exercises. Even back then, you know, so there was always the understanding that we need to be stronger and to strengthen our bodies to be better at our karate or at our martial art. And nowadays, just using machines and weights in a sort of more modern style gym is just the development of that. You know, it's no different doing that compared to what they were doing. It's just maybe more efficient, safer now, and easier to access than it used to be. So first of all, what do we need to do in our strength training program? I'm going to go over a number of lifts or movements that I think are essential to include. I'm not going to build a program for you because it's individual and it needs to be based on your own needs, your own time restrictions or availability, and how much you want to commit to doing it. But I think there's a number of movements that should be included, and the program is then built around that. And these movements are going to be a vertical pressing action, so pressing a weight or resistance above your head. A vertical pulling action, so the opposite, pulling from above down to like your chest, you know, a vertical pulling action, which would be maybe like a pull-up or a lat pull-down type movement. A horizontal press, so this would be like maybe a bench press or a chest press type movement at various different inclines. It hasn't got to be a flat bench press. And on the opposite of that, a horizontal pull, so that could be a rowing action, you know, a cable row, machine row, barbell row, any of these kind of horizontal actions where you're pulling a resistance, something of resistance towards your body. So the next thing would be then a hip hinge. So we're basically hinging at the hips, like a deadlift, a back extension type movement, remaining deadlift, stiff leg deadlift. All these kind of things are going to be a hip hinge and are essential to be included, especially for us as martial artists, because we want a very strong and injury resistant posterior chain. And then we need a squat pattern as well, a squat movement. So again, this could be the squat, it could be a front squat, a leg press, anything that we are moving through that squat pattern. So like I said, I'm not making the program for you, I'm giving the movement patterns that we need to include to have a well-rounded training program. In addition to this, maybe outside of kind of bodybuilding, I would also include a loaded carry. So holding something and walking along with a weighted, something heavy basically. This is going to be working our grip, our stability, our core strength, maybe a trap bar, walking along, or heavy dumbbells, a single dumbbell, a suitcase carry, this kind of thing. And also rotation and anti-rotation movements. Now what this is like taking resistance and rotating against that resistance there. So maybe I'll have a handle and I'm pulling against it, rotating through the midsection and getting the core rotating in order to do that. Anti-rotation then is the opposite of that. I'm holding myself still and stopping myself from being pulled by the weight. So I could have weight anchored back here on the rack and I'll pull it out here and stop myself from pulling back. Okay, so that is anti-rotation. So those are the main movement patterns that I would say you need to include in your training program. I'll go one more time. It's going to be a vertical press, a vertical pull, horizontal press, horizontal pull, hip hinge, a squat pattern, a loaded carry, and rotation and anti-rotation movements. Okay, I'll include them as the same point. If you built a program around those movements, you'll be well-rounded and it will take care of most of your needs, your strength needs. Now, sets and reps, what should we be doing for this? For strength or for compound movements, I tend to stick to lower end ranges of repetitions. So I'd maybe stick to three to 6 reps for sort of some of the compounds, like a bench press or a squat, this kind of thing. And then I'll increase the reps and sets and the volume with more isolation type movements. So I'd always start my session with a heavy compound, so like a heavy squat, and then I'd follow this up with kind of split squats and all kinds of things like this that are a little bit higher rep and more bodybuilding style. We also want to make sure that we are increasing our weight over time, so progressively overloading the lifts, so we're not hitting the same thing every single week. This is the kind of problem with some of the traditional dojo exercises where people are just doing like sets of 10 press-ups every week. There's no progression from that. Once you can do 10 press-ups, that 10 press-ups is no longer challenging your body. So your body adapts to that very quickly, and a set of 10 press-ups is no longer giving you the stimulus to grow and to improve your strength. And of course, going to 15, 20, 30 is only going to be building endurance really in the muscle, and not increasing the actual absolute strength of the muscles involved. So what I recommend is to get a book to track your lifts. I mean, I'm doing it old style with a pen and a book, but you can have like an app on your phone or something like this. But it's important to keep a track of all the lifts that we do and increase on them week to week, okay? Because otherwise we're just kind of blindly going each week to the gym, every session, and just kind of guessing the numbers. Keep it written down, and then you can look back in 3 months and see how far you've come. What I do with some of the athletes that I train for competition is I'll have them kind of periodize a little bit. So they'll have phases of strength training for a period of time, and as they're ramping up to competition, we'll change some of that strength training to more power type stuff. So it'll be a little bit faster with lighter weight to try and transfer that strength they've built, that absolute strength, into kind of faster, more powerful movement, so cleans and all this kind of thing, kettlebell cleans and presses, all this kind of stuff. The reason I do this is because a lot of people think that they need to start with this kind of functional type training if there is such a thing, and what they're doing then is they're trying to do cleans and all this kind of stuff with very low weight because they're just not strong enough to do the movement in the first place. I think it's important to start with a base of just building compound movements up, a squat, deadlift, overhead press, a bench press, and the rows, the movements I said earlier. If you increase your strength on those movements, then the power movements are going to be much better because we're going to be moving a lot more weight around. If you're going from a clean with an empty barbell, and that's your power work, you go for a strength phase for 3 or 4 months. Now you're cleaning 60 kilos, so you're converting that strength into real power and moving some good weight in those power exercises. And of course, in the long run, this is going to then help to peak you for competition, have the nervous system firing quick and ready to compete. Often a question asked is about maintaining mobility when we're gaining muscle. It's not a given that we're going to lose mobility as we gain muscle. Mobility is lost when mobility is not taken care of. So we must always work on our mobility alongside our strength training. Strength training through a full range of motion anyway is good for mobility. You know, if you're taking the joints through full ranges of motion under load, you're strengthening the muscles in those lengthened positions, and it's going to improve your ability to move through those in your martial art as well. So making sure that we are using good form, good full range of motion in our strength movements is going to help to at least maintain mobility, if not improve it. And then alongside that, we need to do our mobility and our stretching work outside of the gym, or maybe at the end of your sessions, or in a dojo, whenever you can fit that in. It's a bit of a myth that it's a heavy muscle-bound bodybuilder that can't kick and can't throw a punch just because they've got some muscle. You know, I see it on the internet all the time, you know, videos about bodybuilders that can't punch and all this kind of stuff. I mean, most of the time they're taking bodybuilders that have never trained to punch anyway, so why would you take an untrained person and criticize their form in punching? You know, you need to take a martial artist who's built muscle and can look at their punch compared to somebody else. That's the true test of if bodybuilding and muscle building is going to affect your martial art. Thanks for watching this far into the video. If you've enjoyed it, please drop a comment below and let me know. Let me know what you'd like to see. If you've got any questions about training, then drop them down below. I'll try and get back to you. If you're trying to put your training program together, I'll try and answer as many questions as I can. If you didn't like it, you know, I'm sure you'll let me know as well. So thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Check out Art Muscle Clothing. See some of their gear. It's really nice stuff. And I'll see you in the next video.